basement. A true horror story. This is not just a story, this is something that actually happened, and even today, I don't have an explanation for it. A family moved into an old house on the outskirts of a quiet town. The house wasn't expensive. In fact, it was surprisingly cheap compared to everything else in the area. At first, it seemed like a lucky deal. But sometimes, cheap things come with a cost. You just don't see it immediately. The house was large, slightly worn but livable. Wooden floors, tall ceilings, long, narrow hallways that echoed every footstep. It had that old, vintage feel, something many people actually look for. But there was one thing about the house that stood out. The basement. The basement door was located at the end of the hallway. Unlike the other doors, this one looked different, heavier, older, and strangely, it had 2 locks, not 1, 2. When the family asked the previous owner about it, he hesitated before answering. "It's just old," he said. "The lock is for safety." That answer didn't feel complete. But they didn't ask again. For the first few days, everything was normal, peaceful even, until the first night. At around 2:30 in the morning, a faint sound echoed through the house. A dragging noise. Slow, heavy, coming from below. At first it was ignored. Old houses make noises, pipes shift, wood expands. But the next night, the sound returned. Same time, same pattern. Dragging, stopping, dragging again. By the third night, it was impossible to ignore. Because this time, there was something else. A knock. 3 slow knocks. From the basement. Then one evening, the younger child of the family said something that made everyone stop. "I heard someone calling me from downstairs." The room went silent. "Calling you?" someone asked. "Yes," the child said. "A man. He told me to come to the basement. He said he was stuck." No one laughed, because deep down, they already knew something wasn't right. That same night, they decided to check the basement. Together. The locks were opened carefully. The door creaked loudly, almost like it hadn't been opened in years. A cold gust of air rushed out immediately, stronger than expected, unnatural. The stairs were narrow and dark. Each step made a loud creak, and the deeper they went, the colder it became. At the bottom, there was a single dim light bulb hanging from the ceiling. It flickered, constantly. The basement itself was mostly empty. Concrete floor, bare walls, silence. But there was one thing. A small room, at the far end. Its door was slightly open. Inside the room, old furniture, dusty boxes, and in the corner, a chair, facing the wall. One of them moved closer, and then noticed something. Terrifying. The wall wasn't normal. It was covered in scratches, deep, uneven marks carved into the surface, as if someone had tried to claw their way through it. But that wasn't the worst part. There were words, scratched into the wall, over and over and over again. "Let me out, let me out, let me out," hundreds of times. The air suddenly felt heavier, harder to breathe. And then the light went out. Complete darkness. Someone screamed. Someone dropped something. Panic filled the room instantly. And then, in the darkness, breathing. Not 1 breath, but 2. Someone else was there. The light flickered back on after a few seconds. The room was empty, but the chair, it had moved. Now it was facing them. No one had touched it. No one had gone near it. And yet, it had turned. That was enough. They ran upstairs immediately, locked the basement, both locks. That night, no one slept. At exactly 3:00 in the morning, the sound returned. But this time, it wasn't just dragging, it was footsteps. Slow, heavy, climbing the stairs, step, 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 until it stopped, right at the basement door. Then, silence, and then a knock, 3 times, but this time, It wasn't coming from inside the basement, it was coming from the hallway, right outside their bedroom door. No one opened the door, no one moved, no one even spoke. Morning came. The house was quiet, peaceful again, like nothing had happened. But when they checked the hallway, the basement door was open. Both locks were still in place, broken, lying on the floor. From the inside, that same day the family left the house. They didn't pack everything. They didn't say goodbye. They just left. The house remained empty for years. Some neighbors say they still hear noises at night, dragging sounds, knocking, sometimes footsteps, and occasionally a voice asking for help, or maybe trying to trick someone into coming closer, because whatever was in that basement was never trying to get out. It was waiting for someone to let it out. Second story, the basement that was never there. There's something about basements. They're not just rooms beneath a house. Sometimes there's something else entirely. This story isn't just horror. It's something that shouldn't exist. It started with a house that didn't have a basement, until one day, the house stood at the end of a quiet street, old, silent, and forgotten. No one had lived there for years. At least that's what everyone believed. When I first moved in, everything seemed normal. Dusty floors, cracked walls, faint smell of damp wood. But nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. Until the third night. It was around 2:17 a.m. I woke up suddenly. Not because of a dream, but because of a sound. Slow, heavy, coming from below. But that didn't make sense. The house didn't have a basement. At least, it wasn't supposed to. The next morning, I tried to ignore it, told myself it was just pipes or imagination. But something felt wrong. The air inside the house felt heavier, like something unseen was watching, waiting. That's when I noticed it, in the corner of the kitchen. A small outline on the floor, barely visible, like a door. I pushed the table aside, knelt down, and ran my fingers across the floor. It was real, a wooden hatch, hidden, perfectly, as if someone didn't want it to be found. My heart started racing, because I was sure that door wasn't there before. I shouldn't have opened it. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. The hatch opened with a long, painful groan. And beneath it, darkness. Complete. Endless. There were stairs leading down, far deeper than the house should allow. The air grew colder, thicker, harder to breathe. And then, I reached the bottom. The basement. And then, was too big, much bigger than the house above. Impossible. It stretched far into darkness. Walls made of something I couldn't recognize. Not wood, not stone, something alive. On the walls, there were markings, scratches, thousands of them, deep, violent, desperate. And then I realized they weren't random. They were words. Don't look back, written over and over, everywhere, on every wall. And suddenly, I heard it. Not mine. Something else, behind me. Slow. Wet. Too close. I remembered the message. Don't look back. But fear makes you do stupid things. I turned. There was nothing. At first, just darkness. Then, it moved. It wasn't human. Not even close. Its body was stretched, twisted, wrong in every possible way, limbs too long, face missing, just a hollow shape where something should be. And then, it smiled, without a mouth. And then, as fast as I could, up the stairs, the thing followed. The thing followed, crawling, fast, too fast. I slammed the hatch shut, locked it, dragged furniture over it. Silence. For a moment, I didn't sleep. I couldn't, because it came back. This time, the knocking was louder, angrier, closer. Then, I heard something new. It was my voice, calling my name, from below. That's when I understood. The basement wasn't just a place, it was something else. Something that learns. Every night, the door appears again, no matter how many times I seal it, no matter what I do, because something is waiting for me. If you ever find a door where there shouldn't be one, don't open it, because some basements are not beneath your house.